Hey guys, Titan Preparedness, and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be an after action report on Hurricane Helene and my local response to this disaster. Now, for those of y'all that don't know, Hurricane Helene was a Category 4 storm that hit the coast of Florida, came up through between Atlanta and Columbia, hitting my local area as well as Western North Carolina and Tennessee. And so I want to talk about an after action report, kind of what my community did well, what my community did wrong, how my local individuals are still affected by this storm, and what could have been better, what could have been worse. So the other day I put out a lessons learned video that's going to be very similar, but a little bit different. This is going to be more locally focused. So let me start this off by saying the line workers, the EMS workers, the firefighters, the police, the volunteers, the CERT, you guys are absolutely fantastic, okay? I went to work Friday morning before the storm hit, and the only people I saw on the road were cops and EMS workers and line workers filling up their trucks. They were ready, they were prepared. We did not know how bad this storm was going to be. We knew it was a storm, we knew it was a hurricane coming towards us, but most times the only thing we get is power outages. So they went ahead and had extra bodies on hand prepared to do what they do during this storm. The storm hit Friday morning around 7 a.m. and it was past my area by 10 a.m. So it was a very fast-paced moving storm. It did bring a lot of rain and a lot of wind with it. We had wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour. The problem with it was that we had multiple days of rain before that. And so when you mixed in the 3, 4, 5 days of rain we had before the storm hit and then the storm itself, plus the wind, that's when we started losing power. A lot of times when we are in the path of a hurricane, the most things that happen to us is the wind gusts knock down the trees. The rain pulls up the trees from the roots. We get power outages, we get cell phones and internet networks going down. That's kind of what we were expecting. We weren't expecting what we got, but what we got was not as bad as it could be. Again, if you look at South Carolina, you got the top left corner, that's about the Clemson area. And then you've got surrounding counties, Anderson, Spartanburg, Pickens. This storm went between Atlanta, Georgia, and Columbia, South Carolina, and we were kind of in the dead center, which meant we got the eye of the storm, so we were safe from a lot of the stuff. Parts of Pickens, Anderson, Spartanburg, Greenville got a little bit worse than what we did because they were on that right side of the storm, and we'll talk about them in a minute. But as far as Oconee County's response, good job on the linemen, good job on the police force, good job on the first responders, right? Again, the storm hit early in the morning, 7 a.m. By the time I got off work, close to 7 p.m., my road home was basically clear. It was at least a one-lane road. It went from a 2-lane road to a 1-lane road. There was still trees down, don't get me wrong, but they had cleared it up so at least you could travel through. The good thing about us is every Tom, Dick, and Harry owns a chainsaw or a tractor. So you had people like my dad out there cutting up trees after the storm passed just so they could clear a road. The people where I live understand that the first responders can't do their job and the line workers can't do their job if they can't get somewhere. So as long as there's not an active line, power line, they will go out there and cut up a tree just so they have firewood for next week. And that's what they did. Before we go much further, let me talk about Asheville and Chimney Rock and parts of Tennessee just for a real quick second. If you want to talk about doomsday, if you want to talk about the apocalypse, look no further than Asheville right now. They are shut off from the rest of the world. At least they were at the time of making this video. It's a couple days later. Every bridge, every road that leads into Asheville was off, was out. There's one store open. It was a Publix. They did have power and they did have internet, but no cellular network. So you could at least get on Facebook and say, hey, I'm safe. My home's not, but I'm safe. And charge your phone, charge your flashlights, whatever. Cash only at the store. 2-hour waits. Everything that was frozen has got thrown out. But you can go in there and buy a couple cans of Chef if it's left. How long can they continue to operate like that? Not for long. But it reminds me a lot of Hurricane Maria It reminds me a lot of the Bosnia situation, where you have a community that is cut off from the outside world. They're trying to get supplies to them, but where do you drop the supplies? Do you drop them in the middle of town? Do you drop them at Publix and let them sell them? I don't know. If you look at any community, there's not a lot of supplies in a community. And so if you shut that community off from the outside world, those supplies quickly run out. The other day I did a lessons learned video, and one of the things was having food, water, the simple things. Make sure you have that stuff so you're not having to go out and wait 2 hours in a line and fight people on the way back home for a couple cans of soup. The Chimney Rock area, a beautiful area, it's gone. I look at the destruction that happened up there. That could have been us. We were 40 miles away from that being us. So let's come back to my area. What did we do right? Again, first responders, fantastic. Your local rednecks, fantastic. Great people out here doing the Lord's work, clearing up the roads. Local churches, many of them, once they got power back, they have opened up hurricane relief efforts. Some of them have things to give. Others, it's nothing more than a cot and a floor to sleep on. But it's something. It's better than nothing, I suppose. Because we still don't have power, my local school district has shut down operations. My kids have been out of school for 2 days now, on top of Friday, so 3 days in total. Some of the local churches have opened up like daycares. 3-4 hours. It's better than nothing. Again, I don't expect them to watch my kids for 8 hours a day like the school does, but it's better than nothing. It's so now that the businesses are open, the adults can go back to work. They are taking up donations for Western North Carolina because these people are our neighbors. They are close to our community. I can hit the North Carolina border in 20 minutes. And so we're not that far away from parts of Western North Carolina, of Asheville, of Chimney Rock. It takes me maybe an hour to get to Asheville, if that. And so, it's like me going to PSA. I could easily go the other way and go up there. So we are doing a lot of volunteer projects. They are asking for volunteers. They are asking for donations and supplies. So my local area is trying to help that local area. So great job on all that. So what did we do bad? Let me start off with number one is Clemson University. FU to Clemson. Clemson is a college town. And so they got the local restaurants opened back up very quickly, which is fantastic because you did have the college students and the local townspeople have no power, and so they need a place to eat. Hey, fantastic. Go to, 95 different restaurants that are in town. Good job. You got power back on the main strip. Fantastic. But there was still people without power in the dorms, right? The college campus didn't have power. But yet, if you watched Saturday's football game, you would see Clemson University playing. Explain to me why in the hell Clemson played a football game on Saturday. There was neighbors who didn't have power. There were search and rescue missions still going on. There were individuals that were working the football game in a police force capacity, in a first responder capacity that could have been used elsewhere. But yet, they played an unknown team from California that wasn't even an ACC championship, that wasn't the BCS champion, the FBS, whatever, the big football national championship. They played a game. The college campus did not have power. The local townspeople did not have power. But yet, we pulled so many people into the city that were taken away from the resources, the gasoline, the food, all this stuff, just so they could make $1. FU Clemson. One thing I did learn from this event is just how unprepared my local community is. Again, first responders, line workers, you guys, absolutely awesome, fantastic. Y'all did a good job. But I'm talking about the personnel, the people in the area. I can't tell you how many people I've talked to over the last week and a half who knew this storm was coming, knew it was going to impact, knew we were going to lose power, but yet still did not go out and prepare. They didn't buy a generator, they didn't buy food, they didn't buy extra gas, they didn't do anything. We were very fortunate that at 7 o'clock the storm hit, by 9 o'clock the storm cleared up, and by the time I got off work, we had businesses opened, and that was 6:30, 7 o'clock p.m. So 12 hours go by, and some places are functioning like normal. But as I'm on my way home, the gas stations that are opened have lines wrapped around the building. They have lines wrapped around the block. You knew the storm was coming, and yet you didn't go out and get gas. Some people are out there filling up 4, 5, 6 gas cans because, oh, they have to run a generator. Why did you not do that before? You knew it was coming. We've known about this storm for 2 weeks now, but they waited until after the fact to go get the supplies. Same thing with propane. Some people who are without power are cooking via propane stoves and charcoal stoves. The one store in town that sells propane by the 20 pounders, the 40 pounders, the 100 pounders is empty. That line looked like Chick-fil-A on a Wednesday, man. That line was wrapped around the block for 1.5 miles. The grocery stores are wiped out. Most of the grocery stores lost power, and so everything in their freezer section got thrown away. So what's left is the bread, the cereals, the soups, the canned goods. They're wiped out. My local area does not get hit with a lot of disasters. About 4 years ago, we were hit with an EF3 tornado that knocked out power to some places for about 10 days. Past that, we had a snowstorm about 2 years ago that knocked out the power for 5 to 7 days in some places. Now we have this. The tornado, I absolutely understand not being ready for a tornado because boom, it happens out of nowhere. The snowstorm, you kind of knew about it, but you kind of didn't know how bad it was going to be, and then it hits. This event, again, you kind of knew about it. You didn't know where it was going. You didn't know how bad it was going to be. It hits, and then you're like, oh my gosh, no one told me about this. Are you kidding me? Like, you could have easily went out last week and got all the stuff you need to be good, but you chose not to. Places of Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson, they were hit worse than we were. With Spartanburg, I talked to some people that live down there. They are without power. They've been without power for like a week now. Fine. But the gas station is one of their biggest struggles. There's a QT opened at the time of this recording, and it was the only gas station in town that was still open. Lots of fights have broken out. A lot of people cutting in line. A lot of terrible situations at a gas station. Those people are waiting in line for an hour. There is one road, one path on the interstate, one lane on the interstate that is strictly for getting off to go to this QT. They have it blocked off, and that is the only people that are in that line, and that line is 1.5 miles long. People are sitting in their cars, leaving them running for 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and pulling up to the gas station and realizing, hey, you can only get 5 gallons at a time. This is an eye-opening event for my area. Asheville right now, I completely understand why they are doing what they're doing. But I am being affected by things happening in North Carolina. And I'm, again, 20, 40 miles away from where it actually hit. Ask yourself, how long can you survive if that situation happened in your town? Right? If my town got shut off from the rest of the world, there's a lot of people in my town who don't have a lot. So those people are going to be fighting every day at the grocery store for what's left. They definitely don't have enough gasoline. They definitely don't have solar generators. So the food in their freezer is going bad tomorrow. How are they going to survive? Don't know. So again, hopefully things kind of get somewhat back to normal soon. This was a massive storm that we weren't expecting. You have to be ready. You have to stay ready. I think the Boy Scout motto is always be prepared or something. Become a Boy Scout. Again, luckily for us, we were very fortunate that we did not get massively impacted by this storm. If you consider a power outage for a couple days a massive impact, okay then. But you have to ask yourself, what if this isn't it? Like, what if it happens again? What if it goes longer? Do I have a way to fill up my gas can? Do I know how to run a generator properly? Are you prepared for the lights to go out for multiple weeks at a time? A lot of people say you don't need power to survive. Looking at the way it's seeing, power is very beneficial and people go crazy when it goes off. So you might want to have some power to survive. Also have food, also have water. That's all I got for today's video. Y'all stay safe out there, please. Y'all take care.